Okay. Yes, miss.
So I was thinking about insulating my chicken coop inside and then putting like something so the droppings don't, get to the 2x4s and stuff.
Say that. You need to say it louder. I don't understand.
I was planning on insulating the chicken coop inside. So that's
No, don't do that. Don't go to the added expense. And just make sure that they're out of the wind and they're fine. And you want to make sure that they have lots of good ventilation. Okay? All right. Yeah, don't do the insulation. Very back. Eventually they'll figure it out, but you have to go out there, take them once they're roosting, and put them in the coop. Absolutely. Okay? No. Okay.
Is it okay to use straw for the inside of the coop?
Absolutely. Make sure that you have a little bit of a spring, a bounce, so that when the birds come off of their roost, they don't come down onto something hard. No linoleum, don't do that. You've got to have something like straw or shavings. I like shavings, pine shavings, because they go into my composter better, I think. They break down better. Yes. No, you want them, okay, he wanted to know if it has to be elevated. You need a roost that is elevated because you want their poop to drop, right? That's why they're called droppings. 2x4, roost, okay?
I have mine sitting on the board, is that okay?
You have what?
Chickens roosting on a board.
On a board? Is it a little coop?
No, it's a good sized cube.
No, you don't want them sitting on a ledge. You don't want them sitting anywhere or roosting anywhere where they can get cozy and they put their feathers down over their feet and then they poop and it backs up on them. You don't want that. You want it's simple. You want their poop to fall off, right? And that's why that's why it's called droppings.
Yeah, it builds up on it.
Yeah, yes.
We've got a ditch going right by our house, and the ducks come up and down it a lot. How far away should the chickens be from the duck area?
I would just make sure that they don't get in your yard. He has ducks right behind his yard, okay? If you have ducks, if there's a pond nearby, you keep your chickens separate from the wild waterfowl. You don't need the wild waterfowl intermingling, okay?
Be right next to them, but just on the other side.
No, yeah, you don't want, here, let's see if I can do it. I did it again. I'm a bad shot, sorry. You don't want them to be walking in the wild waterfowl's droppings because they'll get sick. And we did in Canyon County, we had a 6 square mile area quarantined. And you probably say, well, Gretchen, why are you talking about avian flu right now? It kind of went away for a while. What happens is when we get cooler weather and the birds are moving, that's when it comes back. In the middle of the summer, we didn't have an issue with it. But back in January and through probably June, we had an issue. And then when the temperatures got really high, I think it's like above 78, then it abates. It kills the spread of it. And then now that the temperatures are coming down, we've got it back, okay? Yes?
material for the nesting boxes? What do you suggest?
The material for the nesting boxes. I use the litter that I have below the roosts, which is pine shavings. Yeah, pine shavings. And that's a good question. I remember when I first got my chickens, as an adult, and I thought, well, what do I put down? I mean, those are really good questions. You don't know. Do I just leave it dirt? What do I put in the nest box?
Yeah, I was wondering because of the nesting boxes are out there and it gets really cold and the eggs are sitting there. Just to be a better material to prevent the eggs from freezing.
Yeah. I love the pine shavings they sell here at D&B. That's what I use, and it lasts me a long time. In the back.
I want to clarify, you had a slide there that showed a coop covered in plastic, we said, don't do that. We have a very large run that is a completely enclosed run. Is the run able to be covered in plastic to keep the wind out, but the coop is still not covered?
You want the coop covered because that's where the girls roost at night. Okay, so did you all hear that? Okay, the question was, where do I put the plastic, pretty much. So, and I get what you're saying. So the coop itself needs to provide a wind block for the girls and some amount of their own warmth inside. 2x4 roosting there. Now, if you want to put plastic on the run, you can do that, but just make certain that it's well ventilated, because what will happen in that run is it'll get humid, and you don't want that. I would say put plastic on the top and on the side that the prevailing winds and storms come in. Does that make sense to y'all? Okay. Woo! Okay, one more.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
I have one chicken that they all pick on.
Yes.
So I put a bale of straw in so she'd have somewhere to go hide when they roost at night, and they're actually letting her go in now. But I have one chicken that goes up on top of that straw and lays. So that's a no-no.
Lays her eggs?
No, that's where she roosts.
Okay. Okay, so
So I need to take that out now, right?
yeah, the sweet gal up here said that she has one chicken that gets picked on all the time. As I think we've all seen that, right? And so she put a bale of straw in there so that the chicken could hide and get away from the other girls. And now she's got one of her hands going up and just kind of making that her own little penthouse. You don't want that. You've got to take it out. You got to have that, put all the girls on the roost. They have to be on a roost.
So will they let her in now? I mean, they're starting to get where they're, because it's been like 3 weeks now. She sort of got put in by herself.
Good. So I finally got a friend for Hedwig. She said, will they accept her now? And she's sort of coming in amongst the other chickens. I got a friend for Hedwig, and she was roosting on the nest box and pooping into the nest box. And so what I had my husband do is put another 2x4 just at a 90-degree angle for her. So she roosts there and Hedwig roosts here. I mean, if they were smart birds, they'd roost together so they would stay warm, but they're not going to do that. So you might have to make her a little roost for her own, because otherwise the birds are just going to be right on top of her, right?
Oh, well, they run her off wherever she goes, though.
Yeah.
That's their problem.
Give her own little roost if you can do that.
Okay.
That's the best thing to do. We good? Anything else? You had one back there. Are you good?
End up leaving in the fridge so they last longer. How long do they last?
45 days. I think you'd probably eat them before that, wouldn't you?
If I'm planning to keep them throughout the winter, if they don't lay, I'm hoping I can have eggs.
They should lay, but our government says 45 days. I'm sure there's some science behind that. Okay, 3 more questions.
Do you ever float your eggs?
Only if I find a stash where my girls have been laying outside. Okay, he said, do you float your eggs? I only do that if I find a stash of eggs that I didn't know about. I had a bunch. Yep, I had a bunch of eggs that I discovered after the girls were hiding and laying. They weren't laying their eggs in the nest box. And that's what happens when you free range girls. They can go find their own nest. And probably about 20, 25 eggs. I knew that they were doing something, and I told my youngest daughter, I said, $5 if you go look, $20 if you find the stash. And I was out in my grape arbor training my grapes, and I looked down, and oh my gosh, because she didn't find them. There they were, just a hidden, nice, cozy little spot. And so I gathered them all up, and I took them into the house, and I put them in tepid water. Some of them stayed on the bottom of the sink. Those are the good eggs, okay? Some of them went like that. Those are a little older, and you can get away with eating them. I do. Some of them went whoop right up to the top. You don't want to eat the eggs that float to the top. Okay, those are the old ones. Okay, is that what you wanted? Okay. Yes?
Can you add anything to existing feed? We just bought a brand new 16%. Is there anything we can add to that?
That's a really good question. As a thrifty chicken keeper, I say he wants to know if you can add, to that 16% to bring up the protein, right? Use out that bag. Don't go, oh God, Gretchen says now I need to go to 20%. We'll just save this 16% for later. Use that 16% and just supplement it. Either give them some puppy food, which works perfectly, or throw in some mealworms. That's a lot of protein, and that'll boost their protein. Okay, and then one last question up here. Yes?
You don't have them run their free range, so when it snows, what do I do with their dust bath, and do I just clear the snow out to make sure they can scratch and get some green? They can go under the coop, but the snow's just gonna go right.
Right. Okay, great question. She has chickens that free range. She wants to know, how to make certain that there's a dust bath they can use. What about greens, and do you have to move the snow? Yes, you should move the snow. 2, provide them greens from your kitchen, the kitchen scraps. You already do that probably. And then 3, make certain that wherever their dust bath is, it's out of the snow and the rain. It needs to be dry. Yep. Thanks for coming.